The forbidden border. The bridge of the UEES horizon hummed with quiet efficiency as stars streaked past the viewport. Commander Ilara Voss stood at the observation deck, her reflection ghosting across the reinforced glass as she stared at the emptiness ahead. Approaching the marked coordinates in 30 minutes. Commander, Lieutenant Chen reported from navigation. Ilara didn't turn. Her eyes were fixed on something invisible, a line that existed on every alien star chart but appeared nowhere in human records. The border. Beyond this point, the map simply stopped. Not because the cartographers grew lazy, but because nothing ever came back to tell them what lay beyond. Captain Darian Hayes approached, his footsteps deliberate. Second thoughts? Always. She finally turned to face him. But curiosity killed more than cats, Darian. It launched 1,000 expeditions. He permitted himself a slight smile, and satisfaction brought them back. Usually being the operative word. Ilara moved to the tactical display, where a three-dimensional projection showed their position relative to known space. Human territory glowed blue. Beyond it, nothing but the amber warning zone that marked the border. 17 probes sent across in the last century. 0 returns, not destroyed, just gone. The Kaldrith ambassador practically begged us not to come here, Darian reminded her. I've never seen a Kaldrith beg for anything. They'd rather eat their own limbs. Ilara remembered the meeting vividly. Ambassador Thexril had arrived unannounced at Unity Station. His usual composure shattered. His translated words still echoed. Some boundaries exist for reasons your species has forgotten. Do not make us remember why we fear you. Fear us? Lieutenant Chen looked up from her console. No offense, Commander, but half the galaxy has better weapons tech than we do. That's what bothers me, Ilara said quietly. What do they know that we don't? The ship's AI Oracle chimed in with its characteristic calm. Commander, we are now 5 minutes from the designated threshold. All systems nominal. Crew readiness at 97.3%. The other 2.7%? Darian asked. Ensign Rodriguez is in the bathroom. Despite the tension, several bridge officers chuckled. Ilara allowed it. They'd need that levity soon enough. Oracle Bofang the message again. The one the Veil sent. The view screen flickered, displaying a Veil Elder, a species known for their obsessive record-keeping and emotional restraint. Yet the creature's 4 eyes were wide with something unmistakable. Terror. Humanity of Earth, the translation scrolled beneath. We beg you to reconsider. The territory you claim as your own is not yours by conquest or discovery. It was given to you, sealed around you. We do not speak of it because to speak of it is to remember what lies sleeping, and what sleeps must not wake. For all our sakes, especially yours, do not cross the threshold. Some cages protect those outside from what dwells within. The message ended. Silence held the bridge. A cage, Ilara repeated. They think we're in a cage. Or they put us in one, Darian added darkly. Approaching threshold in 60 seconds, Oracle announced. Ilara straightened, pulling on the commander's mask she'd worn for 12 years of deep space exploration. All hands condition yellow. Shields to maximum. Power to sensors and communications. If something goes wrong, we document everything, Darian finished. The black box is set to auto-transmit to the nearest relay buoy. 30 seconds. The bridge fell silent except for the soft beeping of instruments. Every eye turned to the viewport, where empty space looked exactly like every other stretch of empty space they'd traversed. 15 seconds. Ilara's hand found the armrest of the command chair, knuckles whitening. 10 seconds. Commander, the sensor officer called out. I'm reading nothing, literally nothing. It's like there's a wall of null space ahead. 5 seconds. Hold course, Ilara ordered, crossing now. For a heartbeat, nothing happened. Then the universe folded. Every screen on the bridge erupted with warnings. The ship shuddered as if passing through a membrane. Officers gripped their consoles as gravity flickered, and for one terrible moment, Ilara felt as though she existed in 2 places at once, inside the ship and scattered across light years. Then it stopped. Status, Darian barked. All systems nominal? Chen sounded confused. That shouldn't be possible. We just experienced a spatial distortion that should have torn us apart. But we're intact, Ilara said slowly, rising from her chair. Oracle position? We are 14.7 light-years beyond the threshold, however. The AI paused, something it never did. Commander, this is impossible. Elaborate. According to our clocks, we have traveled for 0.3 seconds. According to our positional data, we have traveled for 17 hours. Both measurements are accurate. Silence again, heavier this time. Sir, the sensor officer's voice cracked slightly. You need to see this. The main view screen resolved, and every person on the bridge forgot to breathe. Ahead, floating in the void like a monument to impossibility, was a structure. It defied description, not because it was alien, but because it was too perfect. Millions of miles across, it resembled a flower frozen in the moment of blooming. Each petal a surface that reflected light that wasn't there. Geometric patterns flowed across its surface like living mathematics. My God, someone whispered. Life signs? Ilara asked, though her voice sounded distant to her own ears. None. But Commander, there's energy. So much energy our sensors can't get a proper reading. It's like trying to measure an ocean with a teaspoon. Age of the structure? Darian stepped forward, his usual composure cracking. Oracle answered. Preliminary analysis suggests construction occurred somewhere between 2 million and 3 billion years ago. Margin of error is substantial. 3 billion years, Ilara repeated. That's before humans existed. Before Earth had complex life. Before most of the current galactic civilizations existed, Darian added. This thing has been here longer than recorded history for any species we know. Commander, Chen called out, her voice urgent. The structure is changing. She was right. The flower-like formation was slowly rotating, its impossible geometry shifting. And as it turned, a gap appeared, an entrance vast enough to swallow their ship 1,000 times over. Is it opening for us? Lieutenant Rodriguez had returned from the bathroom and now stared wide-eyed at the display. Oracle, any transmissions? Communications? Negative, Commander. However, I am detecting a pattern in the energy fluctuations. It may be music or mathematics. I cannot adequately translate. Ilara watched the structure continue its elegant, terrifying rotation. Every instinct screamed at her to turn back, to run, to carry the warning back to humanity that they had found something beyond comprehension. But that had never been the explorer's way. Darian, what do you think? The captain was quiet for a long moment, his eyes never leaving the view screen. I think, he finally said, that we've found out why the aliens are afraid. And I think we're about to find out why they're afraid of us. Ilara nodded slowly. Oracle, take us in. Dead slow, full sensors. Broadcast first contact protocols on all frequencies. Acknowledged. As the horizon glided toward the ancient structure, Ilara couldn't shake the Veil Elder's final words. Some cages protect those outside from what dwells within. What had humanity forgotten? And why did the galaxy remember when they didn't? The structure's entrance yawned wider, and the Horizon and her crew sailed into the unknown, carrying with them the hopes and fears of a species that had never known why they lived behind an invisible wall. Behind them, unnoticed, the threshold sealed shut. There would be no easy return. The awakening, the interior of the structure defied every law of physics Ilara had ever studied. Commander. Chen's voice was barely a whisper. Our sensors say we're inside the structure. Our eyes say we're still in open space. She was right. The horizon had crossed the threshold into what should have been an enclosed space, yet stars still surrounded them. Different stars, arranged in constellations that matched no human or alien database. Above, below, in every direction, the cosmos stretched impossibly. Oracle analysis. The structure appears to exist in multiple dimensional states simultaneously. We are inside it and outside it. The space we occupy is... The AI paused again, its processors struggling. I lack adequate terminology. The closest approximation would be folded reality. Folded how? Darian moved between stations, checking readings that made progressively less sense. Imagine a piece of paper folded so that two distant points touch. Now imagine that paper is space-time itself, folded so many times that distances become meaningless. We could be looking at stars millions of light years away, or we could be seeing the same star from millions of different angles simultaneously. That's impossible, Lieutenant Rodriguez stated. Yet here we are, Ilara replied. Helm full stop. Let's not go charging into... The structure spoke. Not with sound. Sound required air, vibration, medium. This was something that bypassed ears entirely and resonated in the bones, in the neurons, in the very atoms of their bodies. Every crew member felt it simultaneously, a presence that had been dormant for eons suddenly turning its attention toward them. Humanity. The word, if it was a word, carried weight beyond meaning. It was recognition, surprise, sorrow, and something that might have been hope. Emergency lights flashed across the bridge. Crew members grabbed their stations as the ship trembled, not from external force but from the sheer presence of whatever intelligence now regarded them. Oracle, source of the transmission. Everywhere, Commander. The entire structure is transmitting. Or rather, the structure is the transmission. I am detecting no discrete origin point. Humanity, you have crossed the threshold, you have forgotten why it exists. Ilara forced herself to speak, though her voice felt small against that cosmic presence. This is Commander Ilara Voss of the United Earth Exploration Service. We come in peace, seeking understanding. Who are you? What is this place? For a moment, or an eternity, time felt slippery here. There was silence. Then the stars around them began to move, not drift, not shift. They rearranged themselves with deliberate purpose, forming patterns, images, a story told in stellar cartography. Recording everything, Darian confirmed, though his eyes never left the viewport. The stars showed Earth, young Earth 3 billion years ago. Then visitors arrived, beings of light and geometry that hurt to perceive even in this memory projection. They studied the primitive world, its early oceans, its potential for life. The first ones came to your world when it was young. They saw what you would become. The star field shifted. Fast forward through eons, life emerged, evolved, crawled from the oceans. And throughout it all, something watched, guided, protected. They cultivated us, Ilara breathed. Not cultivation, preparation, humanity. Was never meant to be merely another species. You were designed to be something the galaxy had never seen. The stars showed humanity's development, but wrong somehow. The timeline didn't match historical records. Civilizations rose and fell millennia before they should have existed. Technologies appeared, disappeared, reappeared in different forms. Oracle, are these records accurate? Commander, if these images are factual, then human history as we know it is incomplete. There are gaps, deliberate gaps. Entire civilizations that existed and were erased from the archaeological record. 7 times humanity rose. 7 times you reached for the stars. 7 times you were reset. Horror crept up Ilara's spine. Reset? You destroyed us? 7 times? Not destruction, preservation. Each cycle, humanity grew stronger. Each cycle, you came closer to your purpose, but each cycle, the others grew more afraid. The stars rearranged again, showing the galaxy, teeming, vibrant, filled with thousands of species, all peaceful, all in equilibrium. Then humanity appeared and the galaxy recoiled. Why? Darian demanded. What did we do? You existed, that was enough. The projection zoomed to show alien civilizations, some familiar, some long extinct. The Kaldrith, the Veil, species humanity had only discovered ruins of, all of them sharing one common trait. They feared humanity with an existential terror. But we were primitive, Chen protested. According to this, we barely had fire when they were crossing between stars. Fire was enough. They saw in you what? They saw in themselves reflected and amplified. Humanity does not accept limits you do not acknowledge. Impossibility. Given time, given freedom, you would not simply reach the stars, you would remake them. The stars showed a future, or a possible future. Humanity spreading across the galaxy like wildfire, not through conquest but through sheer relentless expansion. Every barrier overcome, every challenge met, every impossible problem solved through creativity, stubbornness, or sheer bloody-minded refusal to accept defeat. And in that future, the old powers, the ancient species who had ruled the galaxy for millions of years, were left behind, obsolete, watching as these young upstarts casually achieved what they had deemed impossible. They came to your world to destroy you. 7 times they came, 7 times I stopped them. You, Ilara said slowly. You protected us. You're the guardian the Veil mentioned. I am the accord, the compromise, the bargain struck. When the elder species could not agree. Some wanted humanity, destroyed, some wanted to study you, some saw in you the future they wished to prevent. So a solution was reached. The stars showed the construction of the barrier, the threshold they had crossed. Not built in space, but woven through space-time itself, a cage of folded reality that surrounded Earth's entire stellar neighborhood. Humanity would be contained, given room to grow, but never to spread, never to reach the galaxy at large. And I would watch. I would guard. I would ensure the accord was kept. For 3 billion years, Darian said, his voice hollow. You've been here for 3 billion years, keeping humanity locked in a box. Protecting humanity from the galaxy, protecting the galaxy from humanity, and waiting. Waiting for what? Ilara asked. For you to be ready. For them to be ready. For the time when the accord would no longer be necessary. The projection changed, showing the present. The horizon approaching the border. The structure awakening. You have crossed the threshold on your own. Not by accident, not by force, by choice, by curiosity, by the very nature that made the galaxy fear you. This was the condition, when humanity found the border without help. When you chose to cross it despite all warnings, then the time had come. The time for what? Ilara stepped forward as if proximity to the viewport could bring her closer to this impossible intelligence. The 8th cycle. But this time, no reset. This time, humanity enters the galaxy, not as prisoners released, but as equals emerging. The accord ends, the barrier falls, and all will. See what 3 billion years of preparation has created. The stars began to pulse, a rhythm that matched the beating of human hearts. But first, you must understand what you are, what you have always been, what they feared. Commander Ilara Voss, you asked who I am. I am the warden, the witness, the chronicler of humanity's story. The present seemed to focus, to narrow, until Ilara felt as though she alone was being addressed. Now I ask you, what is humanity? Not what you have been told, not what your history records. What are you in your essence? Answer this and the path forward will reveal itself. Ilara stood in the impossible space, surrounded by rearranged stars and cosmic truths, with her crew looking to her for answers she didn't have. What was humanity? Survivors who had been reset 7 times and came back each time. Explorers who looked at an impossible barrier and said, I wonder what's beyond. Warriors who fought not for conquest but for the simple right to exist. Dreamers who saw the stars and felt not fear but belonging. We're the species that doesn't know when to quit, she said finally. The ones who see impossible as a challenge, not a limit. She searched for words. We're the question the galaxy never wanted to answer. What happens when you give evolution a species that refuses to accept its own limitations? Truth, incomplete but truth. You are the variable, the chaos, the unpredictable element in a galaxy that had achieved perfect stagnation. The elder species reached their peaks millions of years ago. They settled. They stopped growing. They feared you because you represent what they abandoned. Change. Stars pulsed brighter. The barrier falls in 7 days. 7 days to prepare. 7 days for you to decide what
humanity will be when it steps onto the galactic
stage. Will you be conquerors? Explorers? Something new? What do you want us to be? Darian asked. What I want is irrelevant. I am not your creator. I am only your guardian, and my watch ends. But know this, the galaxy watches. The elder species remember their fear, and they will be waiting. The structure began to shift, the impossible geometry rotating once more. Return to your people. Carry this knowledge. In 7 days, the threshold opens and humanity's true story begins. Wait, Ilara called out. What happens to you? When the barrier falls? A pause. And for the first time, the cosmic presence seemed almost sad. My purpose ends. I return to sleep. But before I go, know this. In 3 billion years, I have watched 10,000 species. None have been like you. None have made me hope. Show them what you are. Humanity. Show them what 3 billion years of pressure creates. The stars stopped their dance. The presence withdrew. And the horizon found itself once again in normal space, the massive structure behind them now visibly dimming, its purpose nearing completion. On the bridge, alarms blared. Oracle's calm voice cut through the chaos. Commander detecting massive energy surge at the threshold. It's opening. We have a clear path back to human space. Alara looked at her crew, her shocked, terrified, awestruck crew, and made a decision. Set course for home.
Maximum speed.
We have 7 days to tell humanity that everything they thought they knew was a lie. As the horizon leapt back toward the threshold, back toward Earth, Alara stared at the data streaming across her screens. 7 resets. 3 billion years. A galaxy united in fear of what humanity might become. Captain, she said quietly, in 7 days we're either going to prove them right to fear us, or we're going to show them something they never expected, which is that maybe, just maybe, we're exactly what the galaxy needs. Not conquerors, not destroyers, but the species that looks at stagnation and says, we can do better. The horizon crossed back through the threshold, carrying with it the weight of 3 billion years of secrets. Behind them, the ancient structure continued its slow fade into dormancy, its watch finally ending. Ahead, humanity awaited, unaware that in 7 days, everything would change. The galaxy's greatest fear was about to be unleashed. And no one, not even humanity, knew what would happen next.